All right, let's do some A to Z on KJZ. Alan Hahn, Chris Canty, Jay Will.
Who's the other guy?
And Jay Will.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're the constant.
Stop.
You're the standard.
We're one team, one unit.
Phrasing. Let's do A to Z.
What?
Justin Fields and Mac Jones had their pro days on the same day, so it was like, who's going where? Justin Fields ran the 40-yard dash in an unofficial time of 4.44. Fo is
Jay-Z would call it.
well, Moses Malone, I was thinking, but that's all right.
That's fine.
According
Both
to
work out.
ESPN Stats and Information, we have to have, of course, stats and information on pro days. Only one other quarterback has run a faster time at the scouting combine. That would be RG3. Ran a 4.41 in the 40 in 2012. Mariota was second with a 4.52 in 2015. Why do we need to know this? Because we do. Mel Kiper Jr. has Fields going third overall and in a trade with the Panthers, but obviously that's not going to happen now. That'll look different in the next mock. But could Fields still go third to the Niners? We'll get McShay's latest mock draft tomorrow. So anyways, Kiper has Fields sixth ranked sixth, the second quarterback in the draft behind Trevor Lawrence on his latest big board, which was released yesterday. Here's Marcus Spears on NFL Live, how he doesn't understand how, with all this excitement about Mac Jones and other quarterbacks, how is Fields falling in the draft?
He's a victim of Ohio State, black quarterbacks not doing well, period. Like, it's no other way to say it. Because outside of that, I don't know why Justin Fields would fall. And look, here's the bottom line. We don't know if Justin Fields has fallen. We don't know what these teams plan to do. But the bottom line is he's done nothing to hurt his stock. So all of these guys that we're talking about in this tier should be all held in the same regard, and now you determine what the differentiating factors are. But for Justin Fields' stock to be falling, all I can think of is Dwayne Haskins, Ohio State last year, Ohio State quarterbacks not having a lot of success in the league when they leave after putting up great numbers. But outside of that, I need to know another reason why it would fall.
Is it an Ohio State issue and a lack of history there, Chris?
I wanted to ask Louis Riddick that same question when we had him on the show yesterday, but I think there's something to be said for that. A little bit of recency bias, but seeing Dwayne Haskins struggle the way he did, a guy that threw 50 touchdowns his last year at Ohio State in that Ryan Day offense, maybe that is NFL teams projecting a little bit of that onto Justin Fields. But as far as Justin Fields' play is concerned, you saw him struggle in 2 games this year. It was against Indiana and Northwestern. That's it. I mean, he lit up the college football playoff head-to-head against Trevor Lawrence. People forget about that 6-touchdown performance he had. I mean, the kid is special, and he has a lot of the physical traits that you look for a quarterback in today's NFL, a guy that can use his arm and his legs, being able to see him throw the football effortlessly. I just don't understand why we're knocking Justin Fields down a peg. Coming into this season, we were saying that Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields were going to go 1-2 at the top of this year's NFL draft.
I'll tell you one thing. I think John Lynch loves the fact that people are knocking down Justin Fields. Yeah, he's not the quarterback we thought he would be. Great. Because all this hype about Mac Jones being the 3rd pick in the NFL draft, it's a smokescreen. You know what a smokescreen is? Do you know what the dictionary definition of a smokescreen is? A cloud of smoke created to conceal military operations. Haven't we seen John Lynch do this before? Did it in 2017 with Mitchell Trubisky, fleeced Matt Nagy, and Ryan Pace. He did it in 2019 with Quinnen Williams. I said that all this yesterday. This is positioning. Just the fact that him and Kyle Shanahan went to the pro day for Mac Jones, which both of his pro days, by the way, have been underwhelming. I watched the one yesterday.
I was told he overthrew the football, which is a good thing. It shows arm strength.
Oh, arm strength. He overthrew it yesterday. But by the way, do you know that Kyle Shanahan and Justin Fields are part of this team called the QB Collective? Like, Kyle Shanahan has seen Justin Fields throw the ball before. He's been around Justin Fields before. Justin Fields will have another pro day. By the way, the assistant GM of the 49ers was at Justin Fields' pro day who took it over yesterday. So let's just press pause with claim.
February 6th will now be February 13th, which means, of course, we get Super Bowl Monday. The holiday we've all been looking for, which is a good thing.
And we have one. We have 2 Super Bowls too on our network, so that's big for us.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Just a little plug
in the
for us.
future.
That's gonna be big, yeah.
Little plug for us.
ABC, Disney, we will
Yes.
definitely have some Super Bowls, which means, of course, I guess this show, you guys will get a chance to be on the field next morning.
Oh, I think we'll all,
Confetti.
I think we'll all be there.
We'll all be there.
I think our whole
All the
company.
shows?
I think our whole company will be at the Super Bowl.
I'm looking forward to this. You're making that promise already?
Well,
That's good
I'm
to
not.
know.
Keyshawn can because he's the president.
Keyshawn runs the
him and Jimmy
business.
Pataro share roles together, apparently.
Well, Chris played in the league for a long time, so you know what 16 weeks feels like. You also know what more than that feels like. You went away to a Super Bowl with the Giants. But still, a 17th week, what is the difference for a player? We talked to DeMar Smith yesterday about it, and obviously the players are getting more out of it financially. But again, like, is there a need for a second bye week? Or do you think this will work? And will load management suddenly become part of the lexicon in the NFL?
Well, I don't think it'll be to the degree that we see in the NBA, but I do think that this will change the approach that coaching staffs have with the preparation in between games. Like the week of work with the practices, the film study, all of that stuff, like you're going to have to factor in recovery because, again, a regular season is a marathon. It's a war of attrition, and the injury rate in the NFL is higher than any other sport, right? I mean, with the NFL, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, because it's a collision sport. I know a lot of people frame it as a contact sport. The NFL is a collision sport.
Yes.
Like you have people that are my size running into each other full speed. So injuries are going to happen, and if you add an extra regular season game onto that, that just increases the workload that the guys on the 53-man roster have to deal with. Now, when you talk about scaling back the preseason and only having 3 preseason games, I get where Roger Goodell is coming from in terms of the data telling them that that's where most of the injuries happen, but you also have to factor in the roster sizes because you got 90 guys on a team, and a lot of those guys that are playing in those preseason games, they're not making it to the regular season. So for the guys that you're going to be depending on, this is putting a lot more on them. I mean, it's exponential in terms of the workload and the risk that these players are taking on by adding this extra game. That being said, I'm all for it because I want to see it. I want more football.
More football.
I want more football.
I'm
Can't
with
be
you.
a bad
Well,
thing.
high risk, high reward. You know what the high reward is? $100 billion TV contract.
Ooh, say that again, Jay.
So
Say that.
$100 billion
Yes.
TV contract. So I'm sitting here and I hear Alvin Kamara. I love watching him play. I hear several other players talk about this is bogus. We don't want this player safety. I recognize that. I'm not trying to be hit by CC, but I understand if I have a chance to inflate my contract by 10%, and we're talking about quarterbacks being paid the type of money we're talking about now, imagine what this is going to be in 3 years from now. So the amount of money that players will have an opportunity to achieve, it's worth the one game. When you think about it, generational wealth, Chris.
Yeah.
We talk about this, right? Like it's life-changing money for a lot of players. That league minimum goes up, it's worth another game.
And here's the thing, Jay. One of the things that people aren't talking about is the average career of an NFL player is only about 4 years. So, I mean, if you're talking about adding that 10% every year for the 4 years that you're in, isn't it worth the risk of tacking on a 17th game? To me, it is.
Yes.
It makes all the sense in the world. Like, I mean, I understand, like, we see the contracts of Alvin Kamara and the money that's being thrown around with these quarterbacks, what Dak Prescott just got with the Cowboys. That's not most players in the NFL. Most guys are living that thousandaire lifestyle. And so to have the opportunity to get that bump in base pay over the course of your NFL career, that's huge in terms of setting guys up for life after football. So, again, I understand the risk that comes along with playing that extra 17th game, that injury factor. But to me, the money that the players are going to get, it's worth it, which is why the CBA passed last year in the first place.
Look, anything you do, if it's good for business, you go ahead, you figure out a way to do it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Also good for business, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on. Roger Goodell saying that they expect to have full capacity in these stadiums, and that's another conversation certainly to have as well. But coming up, and we will get to calls, that we actually do have a call on whether you want to see the hit coming or not, and I'm curious about like what kind of response we'll get to that one. But how crazy is it to think of Steph Curry wearing a different shade of gold? Just threw up in my mouth. That's after Jay has this from